We're back. Welcome back to the Joy Muhammad Show. Yeah, I am so excited today because I have here with me an amazing guest, Dr. Ela Manga. Hi, hi, Dr. Ela.
Hi, Joy.
How are
So
you?
lovely to be here with you.
So good. It's so exciting. I am particularly excited because this conversation is on the art of breathwork. It's a new art form that I learned this year, but you are an expert of it. So I'm just so happy to be here with you, learning more from you today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, let's begin. Let's begin from the beginning with just sharing more with the people, the humans who are going to come and see this, who you are and your journey with breathwork, your journey with healing.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, well, my background is of a medical practitioner. So I went the conventional medicine route. I graduated from WITS in 1998 and did my internship and community service in Joburg. And then went out into GP practice. And it's through my experience working as a general practitioner that I started to see the very real and obvious connection between what people were experiencing physically and what they were experiencing on an emotional and psychological level, and how their symptoms were related to everything else that was going on in their lives. There was a very clear and obvious link for me. And yet, I didn't feel quite equipped to deal with and support the whole person versus just the symptom, because medical school trains us in dealing with a symptom, a diagnosis, and then a very specific protocol related to that condition. And yet I was seeing that, the human being is far more multidimensional and unique, actually. And we all have our own unique story and our own unique physiology and our own unique energy imprint and personality imprints. We all have our own unique story. And so then symptoms can't just be fit in a box of, this is the diagnosis and therefore this is the treatment. Every person requires a very unique approach. And in order for us to craft that unique approach, we need to be able to hear what that person's story is. And so I started to find that I was listening to more and more stories. And through the listening of the stories, I was able to get so much more information and tailor the healing process in a far more holistic way. And in creating the space of safety where people were sharing that stories, the healing started to happen. And so, we started with shifting very simple things like, what can we shift in the way that you're eating that is going to support your body better? How can we tailor your exercise program to suit your unique body type or personality type? So rather than prescribing specific protocols, we were tailoring and tweaking just by understanding that human being better. So it's been quite a journey over the last 15 years of refining the practices and the tools that I have been sharing with people. And it's really interesting that through my study of ancient medicine practices and traditional healing practices and quantum physics and understanding the mind-body connection deeper, my tools started to become even more simple. And so I've arrived at a point in my journey as a doctor and as a healer that I have come down to the most simple, basic process of life, which is our own breathing. And it sounds too simple, actually. to arrive at a point where I'm teaching people how to breathe better and breathe more optimally. But in fact, what I have seen in my experience as a doctor is that 90% of the symptoms that we experience is related to stress, the stress response. And here we have a simple and accessible technology that is able to shed light on the root causes of these stress patterns, but also is a technology that simply and very effectively shifts us from the stress mode into a healing mode. And by breathing in a certain way, we are able to activate the body's healing ability and release chemicals. You know, we have our own inner pharmacy right in our body, and we have a way of accessing that. So that's how breathwork has become such an important part of the work that I do.
Wow. I mean, I love everything. I'm just so excited. I don't even know where to begin, but I love the work that you're doing, because I am from a different field, but similar field of healing. I'm from psychology as well. And I had the same realization as well, that there is so much more happening here than just this person responding to this trauma. What else? What is the origin, and how else can we, I mean, clearly we, like you're saying, we're already equipped to regulate ourselves. We're already equipped to process the stress however way. And it's not outside ourselves, it's already inside us, and we can utilize this process so easily. For me, I was introduced to breath work this year, and my very first experience of it, I thought I was going to die at some point because I've not been breathing, like you're saying, and I've not realized the connection between my emotions and my body, and how clear that connection is, that if I listened and allowed myself to truly see this connection and the communication that my emotions is telling my body and the body is responding to, then I can regulate and stabilize myself just from sitting and breathing, you know. So let's talk more about the process itself of how are we really meant to breathe optimally and, you know, use this to regulate and heal ourselves.
Okay. Well, I think that firstly, before we go into how we should breathe, it's interesting to look at how the breathing mechanism has been programmed into our body, right? So breathing is one of those processes that is both automatic. So what I mean by that is that we don't have to think about it. Okay, so even if we're not thinking about our breathing, it's still happening, all right? So it's part of the body's what we call the autonomic nervous system. However, unlike any of the other autonomic processes, like our heartbeat, for example, so we don't have to think about our heartbeat either. We don't have to think about how the body regulates temperature. Breathing is the only one of those functions that we can change. So we can consciously override it. So we can switch it from an automatic mode into a manual mode, like a car. So we can now consciously change the way that we breathe. So this becomes a very exciting tool that we can start to use, is that we can consciously change the way we breathe and then consciously change the way that we feel. All right. So
love that.
So the body's, so it's the breath is a language. Okay. And if we're not aware of it, the breathing will reflect the feelings that we have and the thoughts that we are thinking. So let me give you an example. If we are feeling stressed about something, the breathing will automatically change. So when we're stressed and anxious, we will breathe up, right up here, and our breathing will become faster. Or we will stop breathing. Like if we're really concentrating really hard, or if we're scared, then the breathing will automatically stop. Okay? So that's the body's natural way of adapting according to the situation we're in. So normally what's meant to happen is that the breathing is meant to support whatever it is that we're engaged with. However, because we are constantly faced with so much stress and anxiety in our modern lives, our breathing has become stuck and locked in a way that doesn't support our physical health and well-being. All right. And so over time, it becomes suboptimal. So what I mean is that it becomes locked. We start breathing in ways that are not helpful to support our physical health. Okay. And so when we start the process of breathing, we cannot change our breathing unless we first we start becoming aware that we have this breath inside us that exists. And, you know, can we get to know it a little bit? So we always start any kind of breathing practice with simple breath awareness. And so when we speak about the art of breath work, we're speaking about the ART. So art is ART. And the A is for awareness, breath awareness. So it's simply noticing that we are breathing. And we're simply noticing what the sensations of breath feels like. For example, when we inhale, the breath feels slightly cooler. And when we exhale, it feels slightly warmer in the nostrils. So that's an interesting detail that we often take for granted. Okay. We also start to become aware of where are we breathing in the body. Does the belly move when we're breathing? Or is the breathing up here in the chest? So let's start to notice how we are breathing. Okay. If we uncross our legs and we place the feet on the floor, does that change the way that we breathe? If we sit back in the chair and soften the back of our neck, how does that change the way we breathe? And you'll notice that just simply by making these tiny adjustments in our posture, and we start to just come into the body and come into the moment, the breath starts to feel more open and more soft. So that's the first thing we teach, is simple breath awareness, just getting curious about what the breath feels like in our bodies. Okay. And when we start to feel the breath in our bodies, we immediately come into the present moment. We're less occupied with the things in the past and in the future that we get so anxious about. And immediately the breath starts to slow down. Okay. And we start to breathe in a more soft way.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first thing they teach when you're learning to ground yourself, just being aware of the breath. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you asked a very important question, Joy, is how are we meant to breathe in a way that is going to support our health? And only when we start to become aware of that can we start to change the way we breathe to support that opening. Okay. And the first thing that we need to be aware of is how fast we are breathing. And when we breathe really fast, when we are just sitting, for example, we can count how many breaths we take a minute. And the higher the breathing rate is, it probably indicates the more stressed we are. Okay? So if we just count our natural breath without changing it in any way, it should be between 12 and 14 breaths a minute. Okay, so that means that, or even 8 to 12 breaths a minute, 8 to 14, like in that range of 8 to 14. And that kind of means that your breathing is at the right kind of range. Okay, so that you're not overly stressed. Okay. Something else we need to be aware of is, are we breathing in through the nose or the mouth in daily life? So often when there is chronic sinusitis, or there's a deviated septum, or there's some kind of something that is not quite in alignment in our nasal cavity, in our respiratory passage, then we will develop the habit of breathing through the mouth. And long term, that is not beneficial, because we're bypassing the nose, the ability of the nose to filter and warm and humidify the air, to prepare the air to be absorbed by the lungs. Okay. So we need to practice just breathing through the nose in everyday life. There are situations where we need to be breathing through the mouth. Okay. Like when we're exercising vigorously, for example, and we need more air, it's natural to breathe through the mouth. Okay. So that's just something else to be aware of. The other really important point is to make sure that we are using the belly or the diaphragm, which is the main breathing muscle. Okay. So the diaphragm is like a parachute-shaped muscle that sits under the rib cage. And as the lungs inflate when we breathe in, the diaphragm flattens and the belly moves out. So that means when we're breathing in, the belly should be moving out. So if you just place one hand on your belly right now and one hand on your chest, and you're inhaling and exhaling, where are you feeling the breath in your body? And if you are feeling the breath, where are you feeling it more?
Is the breath going in or out?
So when you inhale, the tummy is meant to rise, and as you exhale, it's meant to move back. Yes. Now, often what happens is that if the diaphragm is weak for many reasons, because we're sitting all the time, or we keep our tummies in, especially as women, we tuck everything in. What happens is we start to use other muscles to help us to breathe. We use the muscles of the neck, and we use the muscles of the shoulders. And that is not always helpful. Okay? Because that's using too much energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we can imagine that when we're overusing our neck and shoulder muscles, it's going to cause a lot of strain in this part of our bodies. And that often is what leads to headaches. So if someone is coming in with chronic headaches, muscle pain, tension, we'll notice that their breathing is right up here. So we train them to use their bellies to breathe again. And so a very easy way to train the diaphragm to start working properly so that we're breathing from the belly is getting someone to lie on their back with their knees bent and then placing a heavy book on the belly. So just above the belly button, you just place a heavy book or a heavy block and practice moving that book up towards the ceiling as you're breathing in, and then slowly bringing it down as you exhale. And doing that about 10 times, maybe twice a day. And you will find over time, you are retraining your breathing back to its natural state. And this will ease the chronic tension in the neck and the shoulders. And you will just generally feel more relaxed. You will sleep better, and you will feel less stressed generally.
I am wondering what would have created someone from not breathing optimally before? Is it because we're not taught this, or that's the question that came up for me.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And in fact, it can start from our birth. The birth process itself can interfere with our natural breathing pattern. All right, because just think about it. What is the experience of our very first breath will impact how we're experiencing breathing for the rest of our lives. So, for example, if there was the cord around the neck, that can impact on the way that we take our very first breath. If it was a traumatic birth, that can impact on the way that we breathe. And our very early life's experience can change the way that we breathe. And every experience that we perceive as traumatic will have a very real impact on our breathing pattern. It will be imprinted in our breathing pattern. And often this trauma gets locked into our physical bodies, into our tissues, because we are protecting ourselves. When we experience that trauma, the body's way of protecting ourselves is to clamp up, create an armor, and that creates a locking of the breathing mechanism. And often, after that experience has passed, the breathing is still in that state. And so we keep almost re-traumatizing ourselves with every breath that we take without even realizing it.
Wow.
And so that's why, we have a very dynamic technique of breathing called conscious connected breathing. And so if you look at the art of breathing, the T would be the transformative practices, which are very cathartic and that need to be held in a very safe space. It's an actual therapy. And a lot of release happens. There's a lot of catharsis and there's a lot of healing and transformation. It's incredibly powerful. But I think, we can't really get away from practicing breathing every single day for ourselves. So it's really important to have some kind of breathing practice and every single day, and to integrate it into our everyday lives. And that's the real power of breathing.
Wow.
So we can regulate the breath in various ways to change the way that we feel. So for example, if we need to relax more before sleep, or if you're feeling particularly anxious, we can slow down the exhale. That has a very calming and relaxing effect. And if we want more energy, we can focus more on inhale. All right. So very energizing practices like just 3 breaths like that will make us feel very energized. And there's also a way to calm or balance the system by practices that balance the inhale and exhale, for example. So it's a slow inhale for a count of 5 and a slow exhale for a count of 5. And just doing that for 5 minutes has a very profound effect on bringing our stress levels down.
Yeah. I mean, so good. Everything is so good. I don't even know where to start. But my experience with breathwork, I started it this year. What I was not expecting is this lock part that you're just talking about, of how much I've locked in a lot of emotion. So I was just breathing and expecting it to just be about, being aware of the breath. But as time continued and I kept doing it, it's like I did a 30 minutes practice of breath work. A lot of emotions started coming up for me, a lot of memories started coming up that I clearly locked up in my body, in my system. Some of these memories were also cellular memories, not necessarily mine. For me, as someone who works with ancestral work and so on, I've literally released a lot of locked emotions in the body, at a cellular level, that also were not necessarily mine, were from my mother, from as far back as my birth, as you're saying, as far back.
Yes.
And so this is why it's such a potent practice, because we're not aware of how much we're carrying so much, and how this
absolutely
restricts us from feeling safe in a lot of spaces, and we don't know why we don't feel safe. And so then we are always constantly feeling triggered and constantly responding without knowing why we're responding and what the trigger is really about.
Yes,
But,
absolutely.
Let's explore more of this, of the cellular memories and emotions, and how breathwork is a tool for helping us with processing these emotions and healing ourselves and our memories and so on.
Yeah, I think you brought up something so important here. Sometimes we can't know or understand where these traumas actually come from. And we also inherit them, you know. So there's a lot of research now to show that we actually inherit trauma and belief systems from our lineage. You know, we're carrying it from our maternal line, our paternal line, and it sits in our cellular memory.
That's my work. That's what I do.
Right. And yeah, that's incredibly powerful work. And what I really love about breathwork, and I'm so in awe of breathwork, is that you're working with life force itself. And you're calling up that life force, that same life force that is in every living thing, that's in the stars, that's in the land, that's in every living tree. You are breathing in that energy of the creative force itself. And through that breathing, everything else that's not serving your body is lifting up to the surface and becomes available for you to release. And, you know, we don't have to sit in a psychologist's office. So not all of us have access to seeing a psychotherapist or seeing a healer. You know, not all of us have that privilege.
It is a privilege.
But every single one of us has access to our own breath. And you mentioned the word safety, Joy, and I think that is absolutely key. And the reason that we keep reinforcing the stress response in the system without realizing it is that we haven't established that basic foundation of safety in the world, and between each other, and most importantly, within ourselves. And so when we can reconnect with the breath, we reconnecting with our place on the planet, and we're reconnecting with our own bodies. And it's an opportunity to create a sense of safety in our own being again. And when we can reestablish that sense of safety in our own bodies, we can reach to the other and create spaces of safety between each other and in our communities. Because in fact, we are all the same. We all share the same breath, and we all experience the same human pain and emotions in different ways. But it's the same collective pain. But we also have the same collective love and connection between each other. And the breath is a universal language that goes beyond our religion, our culture, where we grew up, our gender. All of that identity melts away when we can connect with each other as human beings through this universal language. So I think that it's a potent and powerful technology for our times, you know, and as systems collapse and as the world is becoming, well, feels like a more and more unsafe, uncertain place, we are being called to tap into something that is certain, that is always there, always accessible within us and between each other.
I love this. I love it so much. The breath work that I was doing, my guide, one of the words she was repeating that I keep holding on to, and that I'm still learning to integrate and truly believe in. She says, it is safe to feel, it is safe to be here, and she just repeats this: it's safe to feel, it is safe to be you, it is safe to be here. And it's something that I didn't realize, that I don't feel safe being here, I don't feel safe feeling, I don't feel safe being me and allowing myself to be the me that I am in the world, and, you know, show up in the world that is connected to my true self. And it's like I say, it's through this technique that I really feel like I returned back to myself. I started to really get acquainted with myself, with my body for the first time, and also what else whatever my body was carrying, all these memories, all these feelings that I've locked in. And of course, they branch out to all the beliefs and the stories that have been limiting me into being my true self. And so it's a beautiful circle. It's the holistic tool you were looking for in the beginning of your journey when you're still
Yes,
practicing breathwork. So
exactly.
this is why I'm also so excited, and I want as many people to know that this is a free tool that you already have. You know, the
Exactly.
power is truly within you. You have the life force. You are the life force. You are the breath, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's so beautiful that we have this tool and we can use it to regulate our stress, our emotions, the triggers that are coming up. But as you were just saying, it's not even just regulating, it goes beyond that. It brings us back to what we were seeking all along, connection with self, connecting with people, connecting with life as it is. It's a powerful tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So powerful and yet so simple.
Yeah. It is easy to miss it. You know, because I think because of the programming and the conditioning that we have, where we always felt like to heal ourselves has to be something strenuous. We have to go to the doctor and get the medication. That's when I can believe I'm gonna heal. You know, I have to go do the yoga, and all these tools, of course, are important and they work and they're powerful in their own ways. But there's also this other one that you're already born with, already installed within you, that you can also utilize. And um, what is the T? What does the T stand for again? Transformation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so transformation. Yeah. So the A is awareness, the R is regulation, and the T is transformation.
yeah, yeah. So it is the breath that will lead you. It's so I understand it as becoming aware of the breath,
Mm-hmm.
and because you're aware now, you can regulate yourself
Right.
better. You can regulate your experiences better, and then transform them to things that are more empowering for you, to connection, to other things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that, part of our conditioning is that we have we have learned to put our trust in a a system, a doctor, a healer, a pill, something outside of ourselves. And while those support people are necessary, I think it's really important to reclaim our ability to trust our own bodies
Mm,
and our own wisdom.
mm, yeah.
And that's part of what breathwork does. It brings us back to the wisdom of our own hearts and our own bodies and
Mm,
our own truth.
yeah. 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 The
And then,
answers are truly within.
yeah, but we have to find a way to that within,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know
Yeah.
and when we breathe, we have tangible experience of what within feels like. And, it's just to befriend the within
Mm, yeah.
rather than experiencing it as a scary place.
Yeah.
And often we don't want to go within, because when we go within, we start to feel, and the feelings are just so terrifying. And
Mm,
sometimes the fear of the feelings, it's more terrifying than the feelings itself.
yeah.
So to learn to befriend the feelings, and like you said, it is safe for me to feel. I think that's absolutely key. And to use the breath just to soften into the feelings, and knowing that it is okay, that it is safe, that it is okay to feel. That is absolutely key to healing.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the how breath work has changed my behavior and how now I relate with any triggering moments or any traumas happening with at any moment in my life is I've noticed that while before when something is triggering for me, what I would do is shut down, repress, to do something else other than feeling, other than attending. So I started coming to breathwork when I'm feeling triggered, when I feel
Yeah.
safe, I can face the feeling. But I had made a decision, a conscious decision, that I will, obviously my shadow will tell me don't do it now, it's going to be terrifying, but I've now changed my behavior to attending how I'm feeling, paying witness to what is going on in my body, within myself.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, because now I'm actually allowing myself to feel, I realized the feelings were not as scary as I thought they will be. They're not as powerful as I imagined them to be. Because
Right.
that was the thing that was making me run away. I thought I could not possibly handle it. And then I realized, but I can handle it just simply from breathing. And then I release, and it's, I love what you're saying, how with the breath you truly go within and you experience your own life force, this aliveness with you truly experience it, because that is what has happened to me. For me, I've truly now experienced the pain, and I can even now start talking about what texture this feeling is, what this pain is, and now I know, even I can name the pain now. Before it was just, it's pain, it's sadness, but now I realize there's so much. Yes, there's so much. It's empowering. The power
Yeah.
is returned back to me. The breath work returned the power to me. I'm now no longer overwhelmed by this feeling. And I was telling you the other day that uh, while meditation has worked for me before, and I've been doing it for 10 years, breathwork just blew my mind, because I
Yeah.
truly feel it. I'm truly
Exactly.
present, you know?
It's a really a visceral kind of physical, tangible thing that you can experience very, in a very real way. It's not
Yeah,
just a kind of, kind of mental process or,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you
And
know,
so it's very good for people who are also like very mental. I'm very mental, and I want to
yeah.
like always, I'm doing this, I'm meditating now. Like that used to be one of my issues with meditation. I'll be processing too much, overthinking, trying to name what's happening. With breathwork, there's no time
Yes,
for naming. There's time for
exactly.
feeling, for being present,
Right.
you know?
Precisely. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly
So
that.
it kind of takes the ego a little bit like outside, then the soul can
Yeah.
take over and communicate efficiently with you.
Yes,
So powerful.
it really is.
Yeah. So what can people do to begin breath work um, at home as a practice that they can utilize?
Okay, so I'm going to share three very basic practices with you
Mm,
that will help you through almost every situation in your life. Okay.
that's great.
Um, okay, let's make it four. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the first thing is a very simple practice, and it's not even a practice. It's a natural reflex that we all have, but there's a lot of judgment around this reflex. Okay, and that is a simple sigh of relief.
Mm.
Like that. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not a sigh of exasperation. It's what we call a coming home breath. So
Mm.
when you're feeling triggered, when you notice that your shoulders are doing that, or when you feel that you're overthinking, just in that moment, come back to your body. Okay? So that's a reflex. Okay. And just practice that over and over again in your everyday life. So if you're in a job that where you're interfacing with clients, practice it in between clients, practice it between emails, between phone calls, as a mini recovery loop. Okay, so it's just like a little reboot of your system. Okay,
Mm.
then the first real formal practice that I would encourage you to do is simple breath awareness. And so what you can do is put a timer on your phone for, say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And all you're doing is feeling the breath in your body. Okay. And you're not trying to empty your mind at all. So that the aim is not to empty the mind or clear the mind, is simply to notice the feelings and emotions that are rising up. But the practice is to return your attention to the breath. So every time you notice a thought, is just to notice what it is and come back. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. To notice the sensations of the breath in your body, to get curious with it. So it's simply breath watching for 5 or 10 minutes a day. Okay, without judgment of what you are experiencing. And that's a very powerful practice to build up your capacity for attention and concentration and focus and just being in your body. Right? So the second practice I'd like to share with you is a popular practice for falling asleep. Now, many of us have a problem of not being able to fall asleep, or our sleep is not quite restorative. And so there's a well-known technique called the 4-7-8 breathing technique, okay? 4-7-8. And the 4 is the inhale. So you're inhaling slowly for a count of 4, breathing from your belly through your nose for a count of 4, and then keeping your shoulders soft. You're going to keep the breath in for a count of 7, and slowly exhale for a count of 8. So you're inhaling for a count of 4. You're just keeping the breath there, holding the breath in for a count of 7. And slowly releasing the breath as you soften completely and let go completely. And you will notice that it's like taking a sleeping pill. It has a kind of a anesthetic effect. That's how powerful it is. Okay, so you can also use this breath when you're feeling anxious and you're feeling like really overwhelmed. Okay, so you can do this 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4, keep it in for 7, and exhale for 8. But just remember to keep the back of your neck and your shoulders soft while you're doing this. Okay, so rather than and holding it tight, okay, when you're keeping the breath in, you're keeping your body really soft. Okay, so that's important to remember. Okay. And then the last practice I'd like to share with you is what we call coherent breathing. And all it is inhaling for a count of 5 and exhaling for a count of 5. So we're balancing the inhale and exhale. And again, it's very important that we keep the shoulders and the neck soft, and we use the belly to breathe. And it's really nice to use the hands when you're doing this practice. So I'm going to demonstrate it now, and we can actually do it together. Okay. So you can just sit back in your chair with your legs uncrossed and your feet on the floor, really feeling the ground underneath your feet, feeling your big toe, your little toe, and your heel touching the ground. Sitting back in your chair so that your neck and your shoulders are soft. Okay. And when we inhale, we're going to raise the hands from the belly up to the chest. And when we exhale, we just bring it down. Okay, I'm going to start counting now. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also raise your arms up. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just keep going and feel your whole body expanding and receiving breath as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel like you're releasing, you're relaxing, you're letting go. And on the inhale, you're energizing, filling your whole body with breath. And on the exhale, you're releasing, you're calming down, and you're letting go.
Wow.
And now relax and just notice how you're feeling.
So good. I'm feeling so good. So grounded. Thank you.
Good. Good.
And this one is the one we use to ground ourselves. On when is
Yes.
it? Yeah. Okay.
To ground, to come into the body, to balance the left and right sides of the brain, to balance energy and relaxation, to improve focus. Yeah.
It's so good. I will definitely be doing this.
So this is a good one to do in the morning. And even if you can do this 3 times a day for 5 minutes at a time, it will have a very profound effect on your health and well-being.
I feel so open, you know. Now I feel like it's like it's morning for me now. I feel so alive.
Right.
It's so good. Such powerful practices, but I know there is so much more to breathwork, and for people who might be interested to go deeper with it, I am one of those people. How else can they go deeper with the art of breathwork? What services do you have as a practitioner of breathwork that we can?
Yes, so we offer workshops and we offer training. We have a 3-day foundation training, which is really a life-changing 3 days of inner work, and also gaining a lot of knowledge around the basic science of breathing. And I recommend this for anyone who is interested in just inner work, but also who would like to use breathing more in their work with other people. And so we have courses in Joburg, in Cape Town at the moment. And if you'd like us to visit your country, then you're welcome to invite us, and we can look at that. And we also have an advanced training course, and we basically tailor make our workshops and trainings according to the need. And we work at grassroots level. We work with communities, and we have a schools program. We work with breathing with children. And you can visit our website. It's breathworkafrica.co.za. So Breathwork Africa, all one word. And you can find out all about our services and offerings on the website. And you can also visit my personal website, which is drelamanga.com. DRELAMANGA. And you're welcome to send us an email, and we'd love to hear from you and support your journey.
So good. I'm definitely going to write all the websites under this video so that you can just directly access all this powerful
work. And we also have a network of practitioners in South Africa and globally. So wherever you are in the world, we can direct you to a practitioner for one-on-one sessions.
That's so great. Yay. Oh my God. I'm so grateful, so happy for this powerful, potent conversation. I've learned so much. My mind is blown. I am obsessed with this work that you're doing, the impact that you are creating. It's so powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me on your show, Joy. It was really a pleasure to connect with you, and thank you for the incredible work that you are doing in healing and transforming people's lives. So thank you. It is a real privilege for me to be on your show.
Thank you so much. I love this. I've learned a lot, and I'm definitely going deeper with this. As I was telling you, I love that we're bringing breathwork to Africa, and
absolutely
the grassroots level as well, bringing it to the man in the street so that they can know about this tool that they already have. That really gets me excited, and I look forward to seeing the growth of your work and participating in it, and just seeing all the other people also who are going to watch this connecting with this work, and just bringing the practice home to yourself and home to your home. This was absolutely good. Thank you so much. Thank you guys.
Joy. Thank you so much.
I would love to hear your thoughts about all this. If you have any questions, you can ask, and I will connect with Dr. Ela so that she can answer for any questions that you have. Yes, thank you.